Hello, everyone, and welcome to a brand new edition of the Fans of Power podcast. I'm Tyler Baker, back this week from my minor hiatus, and Joe Amato is here with us in spirit, in some form or fashion, is Nasty Nate Kennedy.
And, maybe he'll pop up at some point.
I'm sure he'll force his way into the show at some point there. He has his methods of doing so. But, yeah. But it's good to be back. Good to be back talking about the property I love the most, and hope everybody's ready to have a fun conversation, and hope everybody enjoyed my substitute last week.
They did.
Looks like the episode did quite well last week.
And I told Nathan, because he was nervous. Nathan was nervous. I was like, man, you're going to do fine. Nobody's going to have an issue with you, and he did a good job, like you said, in your absence. So, yeah, Nathan did a good job. I'm sure he's got an ego now, and since he's got this ego, he's probably going to want to pop up, like we said, in the show later, I'm sure at some point. But, I mean, right now I look and I was like, Jesus, there's been a lot of chat, or a lot of people going in the chat room before we even started, so let me just give shout-outs to Zentron, Jaime, I think it's Jaime, God, I hope it isn't Jamie, because I'm going to feel like an idiot, Patrick O'Keefe, Delva78, Eric Amon, I already said Zentron, apologize. I'm scrolling down just to make sure. Let's see. Adam Gabbert and Grimbots joined us. And also Zen Brown. So thank you all for joining us as well.
What a great turnout, man. That's fantastic.
Yeah. So we have, so we're going to have, like I said, a couple topics of things that maybe you usually don't hear discussed too much. Like I said, that's why we try to cover some things like what? Like a story that many people maybe don't remember seeing because maybe they
whatever, you'll say that, and there's, I remember that story, Joe. Man, I had that story too. That was the best story ever, Joe. And
and see, it all came from me talking about the old Masters of the Universe magazines, about how great they were and all the amazing posters and everything, and people forgot their stories within them, which we'll get to that. I'll even show you the cover. But Nathan wanted to bring something up. He probably, I don't know if he wants to mention it, but earlier today on Beyond Retro, we talked about two horror movies back in the day in the 80s. One was Rawhead Rex, which I've never come across anybody that's ever watched it or known what the hell it was. And then Pumpkinhead, which almost everybody knows Pumpkinhead. So I put it on my wall. I'm like, let's see. I put it on my wall, and there was about 5-6 people who started kind of saying, never heard of it, don't know it, I don't remember it, I'll give it a shot. But then I was surprised it was starting to get flooded with people saying, I remember that movie. I love that movie. And Nathan said, oh, man, we got to rub this in Tyler's face. Or at least he wanted to. So go ahead, Nathan. If you want to say something, go ahead. If you wanted to jump in. And Mark Out Media, thank you for joining us. And Motu Fan number 1.
I'm just going to let my big ego take over the screen right here since I'm a star now. I finally made it. No, I just wanted to rub it in his face because it's fun. One guy had Demons. He had a poster for Demons and Rawhead Rex. So that was kind of impressive. But it's just funny. Like we talk about that, and then you make that post, and the Cult of Joe, everyone flocks. It's like, oh man, I love it. I've seen it, and I'm sure Tyler's just like, oh, you're all wrong. This is awful. It's the worst day of my life.
I mean, there's a lot of movies out there like Guardians of the Galaxy, that people just seem to just love, and just they don't seem to quite understand what is wrong. And, of course, I'll say Rawhead Rex is definitely better than Guardians of the Galaxy.
Wow.
Jesus.
Whoa.
I didn't expect that. That was something else.
He's lying.
Why would I lie about that?
He's lying. He's just mad because everyone's like, yeah, this is great. And Chris Pratt movies are not all of them are awesome. The Jurassic World movies are actually trash. We were talking about that in the chat before we got started.
By the way, if Kevin Sharp shows up and starts going on about how great Chris Pratt is in Guardians films, let me know. Because he's done that in the past. He told me about that yesterday.
Oh,
so, but no, I do not take offense to people who come out in droves and say they love Rawhead Rex. I just
Zentron said he's had it on DVD. So there you go. He remembers the movie Demons.
Tyler, Kevin Sharp has joined us, and he said, "Dance off, bro. What's up, guys?"
There, right on cue.
That's spooky.
Yes, yeah, Kevin. I just mentioned. I said if you show up and you start pratting off Chris Pratt quotes and stuff like that, you have been warned.
That wasn't even planned. I mean, he wasn't.
No, that was not
in the chat room, and you said that for him. Bam! It's like his ears. What do they say? Your ears burn when people are talking about you. So yeah, that must have been it. But
he is sharp. I love working at like really bad puns, playing off his last name.
Yes,
and a lot of times he just kind of looks at me like, "Yeah, kid, it was cute the first time you did it. Knock it off."
He's like, enough of it. He's like, I've got that enough in probably school growing up.
Yeah, it's like, you're like, it's like people who tell me, hey, Pepsi guy. I'm like, oh, I've never heard that before.
Because for those who don't know, you're the Coke guy, right?
I work for Coca-Cola, so I have to hear jokes like, here comes, I like that there Pepsi you sell. Hey, you wearing shorts today, Coke guy? 0 degrees outside. I just want to just slap the hell out of them.
That's what I can't take the shit. But and Justin Hume, thank you for joining this. But
if it was a snake, it would have bit you. That's all. The one thing I always hated hearing when I worked in
the grocery business.
Yeah.
Oh. Where's the snow peas at from Del Monte? No salt. Man, right in front of you. If it was a snake, it would have bit me.
And then you had those ones that get pissed off anytime they would have like changes in the aisles and they get mad because they couldn't find what they wanted. It's like, I liked it better the old way. And it's like, you don't even remember where it was then. Shut up.
Oh, you know what? Me too. Let's riot. Just start flipping stuff over and pulling Nathan. And get back dog food. Knock it off the shelf. And,
those damn people
did in his past.
Well, I did want to. I can imagine Nathan. I'm sure has quite a temper. I mean, I'm not like that. I'm pretty
quite a temper. That's putting it lightly.
Yeah, like I said, if there was out of the three, he's the one that's like out of his mind, and Tyler loses it. But I'm usually the calm one, and I don't get upset at all.
I get angry about stuff, but I don't really like.
He doesn't act out in public places like I would.
For the most part, most people don't. I only get angry about stuff that politics and sports. Well, sometimes basketball upsets me, but for the most part, it's stuff that nobody else cares about unless you're a nerd. And even then, I kind of feel like, what? I don't like to get deliberately angry and upset sometimes, but when you see something like Venom, you can't help but just feel like chaos in the aisle and setting garbage fires and stuff like that.
There are a lot of people in the chat room are fans of Coke and drinking it, and they say Pepsi tastes like chalk. So there you go. There's some Coke.
Thank you guys. But I always told myself I was not going to be one of those guys that would like even worry about this stuff. I do take more notice of people when they do drink Coke. So knowing that you guys are all avid Coke drinkers. Right here, boys.
There you go. Support Tyler. Keep him employed. Yeah. And I wanted to thank JSP. I wasn't able to do it last week, and I know you probably got yours too, Tyler. But he sent that cool PowerCon guide.
Yes.
And it's just beautiful artwork from Axel Jimenez. As an homage to the old Alcala style. And I was like, that's pretty damn cool to get something like that. And inside it had like other drawings. I actually didn't ask because I don't know, but there's like drawings of Hordak and Katra and things, and I was like, I didn't know if that was just things that they were taken from existing media, or was that something drawn completely brand new? Did you?
I think it was drawn kind of for that because because what really stuck out to me was Clamp Champ was depicted in here too, which I'm like, it was just like right here, on page 5.
Oh yeah.
Obviously, it's pictures of the classic figures, but it doesn't look like a lot of those generic posters where it's like all they did was just paint a picture of the figure. But this looks pretty.
Do you know if Axel drew those too, along with? Obviously he did the cover, but do you know if he did those inside pages? Because there's some cool little things.
It looks a lot like Axel's artwork.
Yeah, because it does.
It really does for the most part, and he contributed a lot to this. So I would not be surprised if it's not his. I apologize, but Axel was a big contributor art-wise to this one, like he is with a lot of stuff. So I have no idea if it was anybody else. So
I would be looking at mine right now because I think he sent me one too to Tyler's, but Tyler hasn't given it to me yet.
Yeah,
so.
I've got Nathan's copy right here.
Yeah, see, jerk.
Yeah,
we could all three probably be showing that right now, but no, he's at least
Tyler ruined it.
Yeah, it's so in a way.
I was really just expecting the inevitable that I was going to be outnumbered for Rawhead Rex. I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to withhold Nathan's PowerCon promo and just hold on to it, hoping to God it's going to be a burr in his ass, and I could just sit there and be like, I got yours.
Yeah, you get it sometimes, Nathan. But speaking of Nathan, he when we were doing the show earlier, he kept being adamant about, Joe, did you get any mail today? And I was like, Nathan, it's Sunday. We don't get mail on Sundays. He's like, you sure you don't want to check? And I was like, Nathan, when I woke up, I got the newspaper, which they put in our mailbox. I was like, I got in there. There is no mail. So we did that podcast earlier. And then at the end of the podcast, he said, Joe, could you check your mailbox? And immediately in my head, I'm starting to click on the computer thinking, what the hell is he doing? What did he send me? I was like, what mail?
My phone is telling me something got delivered to your mailbox at 12:23 today.
Then he said that. I was like, oh, the mailbox. Oh, God. I was like, okay, let me just go out there in the rain. Go out in the rain, come back, and there was a package. I was like, huh? It's Sunday. How was it delivered? But either way, He sent me Halloween 6. This is, that special cut, the special director's cut, or the unrated extended.
Man, I thought you said you were gonna watch that later. That thing's still in the plastic.
He's just as bad as you are, Nathan.
I bet, you know what? I bet he's gonna like go to Walmart and try to like return that, even though I didn't buy it from there.
Return it for money. That's how cheap I am. You're right. I did not watch this yet. I told him I would. I didn't, so I'm sorry I lied, but I'm going to watch it tomorrow. But I don't want to thank you because you know me. I don't like taking gifts. I always tell everybody, don't send me nothing. I don't.
Oh, I know. I had to like.
This has been a year in the making. You trying to get him that copy of Halloween.
Yep. I had to drive an hour out of my way, meet up with a special confidant who luckily somehow snaked your address and gave it to me. And it could have been the wrong one for all I know.
Yeah. He did say it was meeting in like a parking garage. The guy was wearing a trench coat. He had like an eyepiece over his eyes, and he kept asking Nathan a bunch of questions.
And he kept doing this with his hands, and I started to get a little scared because I know that you got them all out there. You're a cult of Amato, so. No,
and like when people do, I appreciate it. I never want somebody to send some, especially when I think, oh God, man, what's that going to cost them? Like today, somebody on Facebook, well, it's our buddy who also listens to the podcast, Janish, and he was like, "What's your address?" He was like, "Could you give it to me? I want to send you something." Or however, I said, "Nope." And then you guys told me, "Oh, he just wants to do a Christmas card." I was like, okay, then that's fine, because I was not wanting him to send presents or gifts or nothing. So
I pictured Joe walking around like George C. Scott in A Christmas Carol, just telling people, if they would rather die, they should perhaps just do it and decrease the surplus population. And Joe's walking around with his mask and a top hat, and I don't marry myself, and instead of turning the heat on, he sits in a cold, drafty house eating spoo in a bowl and gets visited by the ghosts of me and Nathan, even though we're not dead.
Yeah, exactly.
What a Christmas Carol that would be.
That would be terrible.
But and then Joe's visited the live version of me, but he's also being visited by the ghost of me, and he's walking around seeing what life would be like if we. I don't know. I'm getting confused. It's a Wonderful Life, the Christmas Carol now. You ever see that spoof from Beavis and Butthead where they're making fun of him? It's a Wonderful Life.
I've never seen Beavis.
I mean, why? So I wouldn't kill myself. Yeah.
Yeah, again,
this is a He-Man podcast, right?
Yeah. I've never seen Beavis. I've never seen South Park. Never seen that, and I think I've seen one episode of Seinfeld. Drove me nuts, but
doesn't it though? That's all you need is one episode of Seinfeld to just be like, you know what? Yeah, this is driving me crazy, and it sucks, and it's not for me.
Yeah, I mean, obviously people love it. It was a super popular TV show. It just wasn't my thing, and I don't have any bad thoughts against people saying, "Oh, you watch that stupid show." Hell, if they love it, they love it.
I will say this: I hate Friends with a passion. So when people say, "Oh, I love Friends with Ross and Joey and Chandler and all the other idiots on the show,"
I think we gotta let's transition back to He-Man now. We did our
before because I'm gonna go ahead and bounce here in a second. I know the chat. There might be a couple that be like, no, don't do that. But the one thing I did want to show off, just in case anyone was interested in this, because the Walmart kind of broke street date on this. It's not with their new release stuff. It might not be at all the Walmarts either, because out of the 3 around us locally, this was the bigger one, and they have more of a selection. But they have like a little superhero section with different sets and stuff. But bam, Batman Animated Series Blu-ray. This is not supposed to come out until Tuesday, and I was just gonna kind of quickly show it off. The one thing here, you got the 3 Funko Pops. I don't really care about that. I mean, I have some, but this is, to me, that's just not even. Why did they do that? Yeah, I guess just capitalizing on the popularity. Real quick, comes with lenticular cards, so try to quickly
those look good in the frame.
Yeah, I was kind of thinking about maybe just putting them all.
Puzzle of that one with Two-Face and Batman.
Yeah,
I used to have a puzzle of that.
Try to get them where it's minimal clear.
A lot of the classic promo images from the show. I recognize a lot of them.
Yeah, and I think there's one of these coming up. I'll actually have to turn the other way.
Batman and Catwoman there. Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, there we go.
Joe's like, who are these people?
This is Clown Guy and Jester Lady. Yeah, there we go.
And I bet that was expensive too, wasn't it? I bet it was like a $70 set.
More.
Oh, never mind. That has to be 120 or something.
No, it was 90. It's actually cheaper getting it there at Walmart than it is on Amazon right now. But as you can see, they do move a little bit right there. And then kind of the main event of this whole thing is kind of the one thing I don't really enjoy about this set. So it comes here, and then this slides out, and it comes in like this book form. So you open it up here, and you kind of get a little blurbage from Alan Burnett. But then it's like they had the discs in here, and I was showing Tyler before we got going. My main problem is you have to put your thumb here and kind of like slide it out, and then it sort of stops right there, and it sort of snugs. So
yeah.
I and granted, it is a Blu-ray, so it's probably not really going to scratch that much. But I don't like that because even on some of these, So I think I'm gonna buy like a extra case that can just hold them all together, and it's just a normal.
And you said that's the entire series?
Yeah, it's the entire series, and it comes with the Sub-Zero movie. Sub-Zero. Yeah, the Mr. Freeze movie.
It's called Sub-Zero.
Yeah, I know. I was saying it, and then I started thinking about Mortal Kombat for whatever.
Man, I'm just a big sucker for. I wish they would have. When I showed, because I think Tyler said he never did play the Sega CD version of Batman and Robin.
No.
But remember, I showed you those cutscenes from between the game, and damn, it was like its own cartoon. I was like, that sucks that they couldn't have put all those scenes into a special thing, clean them up, and put them on that, because there's so many people in the Batman animated series that never even knew about that game with those cutscenes. It had the voices. It was animated between. It was like its own episode.
Oh, and he kind of like froze right there too. That was kind of weird, right?
Everyone just like did it. No one just cared about what Joe just said. We're just gonna sit here and like.
No, I know. Right. I think that's neat. I don't. Maybe they should have included something like that. And I was kind of reading the chat too, and someone asked Mask of Phantasm 2. Yes, it's actually in the set as well. And then there's also a bonus disc that. Let me crank this back out again real quick. Bonus disc.
I wanted to say hello to Jabber DG real quick in the chat room as well.
There is a bonus disc, The Heart of Batman, a rare gathering of talent, defined Batman for a generation 25 years later. Batman the Animated Series continues to inspire fans, so I'm assuming it's kind of like a mini documentary. I'm not sure. And then Concepting Harley Quinn. And then also, as it was before, you got commentaries on some of the episodes and such. But this is limited edition packaging, so I'm sure after this initial wave, they will probably release it in a traditional sense. Probably maybe how they did with the DVDs and do it like 3 volumes, 4 volumes, what have you. I'm not entirely sure, or if this will just sort of be it. But it also does come with a digital copy code, so I will probably plan on using that. So I have that here on the computer when Tyler and I do capes and commentaries. I was going to lead to that.
Plug there, yeah. If you like Batman, we
plug.
just did an episode. We did a commentary for Bane. If you are not familiar with that extra podcast that we do,
Batman character butt plugs is what Eric Heyman referred to these as. Yeah, these things are like tiny and pointless. I think that's the reason it's up to $90 for those little pissant pops. I would hope not, but yeah. There we go. Yeah. So there's a little.
Is that exclusive, or do they sell those separately? Because sometimes they have some that are exclusive to a box set, which for collectors of that, I mean, it's a nice little bonus feature if they're throwing something like that in just to give you extra little figures for free.
Well, I'm not entirely sure, but honestly, like the look of the Joker here is not even like. Oh, come on! I just.
Well, there are people that like them. Hell, if you don't like them, sell them suckers off. I'm sure you'll find people that might want to buy them.
I could.
Yeah. I mean, that's what happened when I got my one Jason Voorhees shirt. It was packed in a Funko style gigantic case, and at the bottom had an exclusive Jason figure. It came right with that. But well, Nathan, thanks for sharing it with everybody, because I'm sure now people can know to go get it if they haven't, and we'll probably transition into Masters. But
yeah, finally, you guys can talk about He-Man about 20 minutes into this thing, huh?
Well, we did. We kind of started off and then did a little back and forth tangent, but it happens, and everybody knows.
Or you guys just felt like you had to, we got to tell Tyler that people just love Rawhead Rex.
Well, so just a little bit.
You two for not just starting out letting everyone know, hey, who is ready to talk some He-Man? It's like, hell with that, man. How about they're them Rawhead Rexes? You people like that movie, right? Tyler, he didn't know anything. Go watch your Howard the Duck, Tyler, or something like that.
Well, we're done with that now. So thanks for popping up, Nathan. I'm sure we'll see if you'll pop up later. But
have a good show, guys.
All right. Okay. Well, Tyler and everybody else in the chat room, we're going to get into our 2 topics, but also there was a 3rd topic I didn't know if you've seen, but Loyal Subjects did show, recently some more pictures of their upcoming new Masters of the Universe figures. I didn't know if you've seen them, Tyler, if others haven't.
I just saw a picture today, actually. That's completely news to me, but I saw it was like Battle Cat, Battle Armor, He-Man, Stinkor, Orko, and I think
Merman.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Merman, yeah.
Yeah, Merman, and they looked cool because I seen the other ones like that were leaked. That I mean, how do you know things when they're leaked or not? It just pops up. It's all over Facebook everywhere, and then suddenly things get pulled, and people are like, "Oh, that was a leaked photo." But you know, when you're first seeing it, I of course, right when I see something new, I take the picture and then I start sharing, and everybody's like, "That's leaked." I'm like, "Whoops, sorry." Now it's it's everywhere else. But I know that they're supposed to be making King Randor. I believe they made Fisto and the Sorceress, but I don't think they showed them officially yet. I don't think. Like I said, don't quote me, but you weren't part. I mean, you weren't here last week when we were talking about Orko. That is one of the coolest damn Orko looking figures I've seen. I just got to see if the scale is exactly like classic, smaller, or bigger. But Merman and Stinkor look good. And what's good about seeing Stinkor is you see the Mechanic armor, so it kind of makes you think, okay, I'm sure we should be getting Mechanic then because they have the armor now sculpted and made. So I can imagine them putting extensions on to give a long neck. But for collectors of loyal subjects who were tired of getting hundreds of variants, at least now you can get a new set of figures. And I think it should be in window boxes. I might be wrong, but at least you don't have to do that blind box stuff that a lot of people don't
That's
like.
the only reason I will not buy those things, period. I am not wasting excessive money on things. I'm like, I get you're trying to get as much money as you can, but it's just cruel. It's cruel to fans to do that. If you're going to charge $15, at least let me know I'd be getting Stinkor and not another variant.
Yeah, and hopefully they will be window boxed like some of the recent ones. The horror ones did those as well. And just like I said, some of those had like one out of every case would have this black tinted window. It was like a window box, but it doesn't guarantee you're going to get a Chase figure just because it's tinted. Because as I told Nathan last week, when I got my tinted one, it had a regular Freddy figure that you could get, in the clear one. So, but I seen my two Jasons, like, oh, there's a Jason, there's a Jason. That's all I care about. I'm not chasing for a metallic jumpsuit version, and I don't care. So, yeah, if they show us those, I think that'd be good for fans, especially when you get those rotten people that are ripping them from the bottom or top, and then you get to the cases and they're open. I'm like, oh, that's terrible. All the boxes and some of them are missing weapons. It's like, don't they watch these aisles? I mean, you figure somehow.
No, not really. I mean, that's kind of one of the things you always. I mean, of course, when you're buying the stuff at Walmart, I mean, you find stuff trashed on every aisle. So yeah, no one's watching. No one cares. Only up at the front of the store is it possible to get caught with stuff. I mean, it just
yeah.
But I probably won't buy them anyway, just because it's just they're just so expensive for such small figures. I mean, it really is. I just,
for me, the one that was just the best price I said was Orko, because a lot of people never got Orko from the Classics version, and on the secondary market, he goes pretty damn expensive. And I always say, well, hell,
I'll never understand why the Classics line is so much more expensive than the Vintage line. That you could go get a Vintage Orko complete, magic trick and all.
Well,
well,
carded, we know that Vintage carded is super expensive. But as for loose on a lot of figures, remember, those were made for fans when there were droves of millions of fans, so they were pumping out tons of them. So there's tons that exist. But as for Classics, since it's a limited run and a lot of people got into it late, now that they're like, I didn't know about this Classics line, and not many pop up on eBay as they do for Vintage. Yeah, the prices for them, they are a little more expensive loose just because it's a limited run. But I'm sure if those were produced in the vast amounts as the Vintage ones, yeah, those prices probably wouldn't be as high as they are right now.
Probably not. I just think it's really unfair for people that have, because Nathan has tried to build up his collection of classics, and he's been able to unable, I should say, to get Skeletor and He-Man. He forked over a lot of cash to get Trapjaw loose, and he was missing a weapon still. So I just feel like it's it just sucks that the people who if they keep repeating and well, I guess they're really not repeating. I guess I'm thinking about Super 7 doing those re-releases of He-Man and Skeletor again.
Well, you talk about the Filmation style ones?
Yeah, when that was announced, I just rolled my eyes.
Well, for that, I'm happy for the fans that, again, what you just said, don't have to pay those inflated prices on eBay, because even loose Filmation versions of He-Man and Skeletor were going like 150, close to 200.
Dude, I mean, I'm not that impressed with the He-Man and Skeletor Filmation. Like, I'm really not. Like, I would rather they, re-released the Ultimate version on the exploding, card back with the, He-Man with the 3 different heads for fans or something like that.
Well, there's many though. I mean, there are many fans that love that Filmation He-Man and Skeletor. They do look great, but they don't want to pay those nutty prices. So I got to give it at least to Super 7 for releasing them now to fans who are just coming around. They can get them, and they can get them at a much cheaper price. They're not going to pay $150 to $200. But, for many fans who've already had it, they don't see the desire. But at least it does help some people, because the prices, like you said, they get a little too high and to some extent.
It's just really, really unnerving and just ridiculous for people that go on there and want to charge $300 for a Fisto or a Shadow Weaver or something like that. I mean, granted, I know some figures are more rare than others, yes, but
some are, yeah.
But I mean, for like those first 4 or 5 waves of figures, I kind of feel like, come on, guys, this is ridiculous, man. I just assume if you're going to fork over that much cash, you're better just buying a vintage figure on card, because a lot of the vintage figures, you can get them for some of them for under $100, and I was like, dude, do that.
It varies, but again, it's all different types of collectors. Some people even want it anymore. I mean, there's those who love everything, but some people say, hey, they love the look of the classics. They love all the articulation. They want to leave the vintage ones alone, say forget it. But then there's those that will still go after them, and they will pay the big prices for the carded figures, those vintage. And it looks nice. I mean, I've never been one to wear when I was a kid. I didn't keep everything carded I played with, but some people love that. And you got to admit, when you look at it, it's like, it looks cool, and it almost looks like a store. Like, wow, look at their entire wall full of all those carded vintage figures. It is a sight to behold.
Oh, no. I mean, that's one of my most prized possessions are my commemorative figures and my vintage figures meant on card. I mean, that's part of the experience of getting He-Man toys, was seeing the chrome lettering and the exploding red rock. I mean, that's to me, it pops even more than the figure by itself. Like it's part of the appeal and what drew us all in when we saw those figures at your local Hills or Best or Brindle's or Kmart or Rose's or
I want to miss Mark. When you talk about that, when you're talking about the beautiful, card art, the exploding rocks, everything else from the vintage stuff. When the 2000 X figures came with that just really bland, boring, nothing front, and then the even worse back where it just had pictures of the actual figures, not even like little drawings like how the other ones
did. The cross-sell art, just give us something. But...
Yeah, cross-sell art with a piece of art at the top. It's just the figures. It was nothing that you'd want to save. I was not like, oh my God, I got to save that to look at the front or the back, or it's like, just tossed it. And then here came the, in the classics, whose idea was that just godforsaken greenish yellow? Ugh, it was just.
I think that was Scott too, because I
didn't. Yeah.
Well, I'm pretty sure, and I know Scott has addressed it that.
Oh, he did.
Okay. Well, yeah, because he was aware that people were not too keen on the box art because it's very flat, uninspiring, and just it kind of diminishes the figure in the box because it just doesn't look as exciting. And it was one of those things like, well, where do we put the money? Do we put the money in more weapons and extra heads, or a mini comic, or change the packaging? And I think the packaging was just like, it's cheap, and he gets the figure out. Well, I think that was one of the biggest things. And of course, I think another concern was, well, if you start changing the packaging now, they're going to get complaints for men on card collectors like, well, I've already got the first 5 figures in this grade, and now you went and done this, man. It looks odd, just. You're going to get complaints either way. So, but I do remember him addressing that. And me personally, I mean, I kept the packaging for a while just because I was like, I got to keep all of it. And I'm like, I don't need this ugly ass packaging. So I threw it all away, and I've thrown them all away since. If it looked like this, and we had more Errol McCarthy art, or Axel doing the card art, or Kevin, we had you doing the art.
Yep.
Hell,
even Rudy Obrero doing some nice painted stuff.
I would be more inclined to keep the box art and stuff like that, even though I really can't afford to keep anything extra anymore because I out of room. I'm done. I'm tapped out in this place.
Yeah.
I cannot.
Well, I do say that. I will give it to, at least that was great for classics when they had Rudy Obrero come aboard to do some of the, for Castle Grayskull and some of the other box sets for vehicles. Like, that's great to see that beautiful art again. It kind of like was a little redeeming factor to make up for the such bland figure ones. Because then now I can rate it to where, okay, vintage, best packaging, classics because of Rudy coming in and, like you said, Axel doing things for stuff, saving the day. And then 2000X will still always just be the worst package. I mean,
yeah, Val told us that Mattel spent millions and millions of dollars on that line. I'm like, where did it go?
What did they spend $10 on the packaging design for the boxes? And I just hated. I hated seeing the vehicles, the War Whale or anything. There's the War Whale.
Yeah, it was some of the, and I don't know if, and it would be fun to get one of the Horsemen on the podcast at some point. One of them, to ask him about that kind of stuff. I mean, because I think most of the vehicles were not that exciting. I mean, they really,
do the comparison though, real quick. Think of all three Castle Grayskull's box arts. I know everybody knows. Just picture that 2000X1 in your head. Oh, don't tell me you have the box art. No,
not that one, but I've got this one.
Yeah, well, there you go. At least that is a sight to behold. If that wouldn't suck a kid into a toy island up to something, I don't know what would.
Yeah, when you look at this, I mean, nothing beats this. I mean, this of all the, I got this for like $20 with Castle Grayskull complete.
No
Talk
shit.
about how much times have changed.
Wow. That's a hell of a sight. And the classics ones, hell of a sight. But then when you get that 2000X, it's just, again, a picture of the castle on the front with like the eyes glowing or something. I can't even remember.
It was pictures of the figure standing in front of Castle Grayskull, the most unimaginative, marketing look. I'm like, you can put banners of the figures like, He-Man, Skeletor. This is the Master Universe section. It's a local Walmart, but everything else was just so lazy. It did not. I mean, for us, it was exciting just to see He-Man, but for new kids, it was not something that was going to draw you in. I mean, very few times did I see kids, and I did see it on occasion. Kids like, "Oh man, I want Battle Cat." I'm like, "Oh, we're doing good here. This is wonderful," and then it just flops because of too many smash blades and spin blades.
Yeah, that's like I said. We ran that discussion into the ground.
Yeah, we won't do that again. But
but it's very uninspiring. But now we could at least get into another topic. I was talking about on my wall the vintage Masters of the Universe magazines with always just amazing, beautiful art from Earl Norm that were always on there and posters inside. But what a lot of people forgot were those posters had stories. Now, were they some of the most epic stories in the world? No. But it was still interesting, something cool, and it made you think, hey, if they did an actual whole comic with this, like let's say Star Marvel style or DC style, what could they have possibly done? But, it had a different, not all the comics were drawn by the same person or had the same style of art either. But these got forgotten because a lot of people just took their posters, hung them up on a wall, and if they got ripped, they threw it away, and they forgot that the stories are on the posters, which that was the one thing, like, oh, damn, you wish they could have thought of another way, but hey, I'm sure they were limited to their amount of pages. And
given your choices, you're picking the poster over the comic strip. No matter, I don't care what story you want.
And that's what I mean. That's what sucks. It's like, damn, why couldn't you have put, if anything, put the goofy ads on the damn back of the those parts. If they could have did something, but I think maybe that would have ran too many ads in a row. How they have to have a certain style of doing something, so when you unfold it, something happens. But this story, it's the Armies of King Hiss, and of course, it was a cool little start with Cyclone and Prince Adam on the jet sled. They're going to have a race to see who can make it to the palace first. King Hiss is there with Skeletor, and of course, I think Ratlore,
Cobra Khan, Tongue Lasher.
Yeah, they're all there. But of course, Prince Adam gets caught in an attempt to try to get He-Man to come. Of course, Prince Adam, when nobody's looking, turns into He-Man. But I liked one part. I don't know if this was ever explored anymore. I figured you might know if there was something, but I like the part where He-Man, he's going to uproot this tree. He rips this tree up, and he's going to use it to knock back a giant boulder that Spydor threw at him, which I think that's cool too, that Spydor is used more in, something else to some degree. But then He-Man picks up a tree, he's going to use it as a bat, and then King Hiss uses his magic to, turn that tree into a giant serpent. And I was like, did he ever turn any kind of trees or wood into a living snake before?
I will say, there in the episode The Arena, when Skeletor and He-Man are duking it out, Skeletor creates a snake and throws it at He-Man, and when He-Man throws it off, it kind of collapses together and becomes a log.
Okay.
So,
King Hiss has never. But has King Hiss ever shown that ability? Any other? I mean,
No.
has he shown that? Oh, okay.
Not unless Grambot comes along and proves me wrong within 5 seconds here.
5 seconds. He'll say in the UK story they actually had this in this particular
which
issue.
That doesn't count. You know.
Well, they had some good ass stories, but damn.
Oh, well, yeah. I'm just waiting for him to do it. You know, if he tells if it's from some Guatemalan pamphlet that came with the Yugoslavian Argentinian knockoff of anti-attorney He-Man, I'm like, foul. I'm calling foul.
But this is what kind of always would spark my interest, is seeing something different that you might not have seen in the mini comics for a particular character, and seeing a different power makes you wonder, was this something that just came out of the head of the person that was writing the story, or is it something with working with Mattel? Like, is this something you guys wanted? Did you want us to add this? I always would love to know the behind the scenes stuff of what makes these certain powers and things pop up in things that aren't anywhere else.
I think most of the stuff that we see in Star Comics and this particular comic strip in the magazine, I think a lot of it just really comes off as like they're trying to come up with something because they're probably not given a whole lot to go with. So therefore, create something, create peril, danger, whatever. You look at these characters and assume, he's a Lord of Snakes. Well, maybe he could just turn stuff into snakes or something. I could just see it being that and nothing really more than that, because it's a very quick dismissive bit of action in it. So I kind of see it as just something that they, because a lot of these characters don't have consistent powers, as we see. I mean, like we see Mosquito or Flying, which makes sense that he would, but he doesn't, and you see that in Star Comics, or I was trying to think of another example, or Cobra Khan being a member of the Snake Men consistently and not ever reporting back to Skeletor or something like that. But I just look at it as that's the charm of this line. All the inconsistencies allows you to pick and choose. You think Mosquito would fly, therefore, if you think King Hiss could turn a giant tree, an uprooted tree, into a giant snake, you could say that because it did happen.
Yeah, I liked when it went back to then the log. Then it was like in the form of how that snake was, but now it's like in a broken log form. I thought it was cool. Like I said, it's a quick story, but it's still something you would think, how cool could that have been? Maybe animated or in an expanded story of like a comic book going over 20 pages, even a mini comic. Do you think what could they have added to make that a little cool? Of course, I know anytime you always loved anytime they showed the jet sled or any of those accessory things, I know you always liked it. So I was always wondering what you thought of that, in general of the story, and what you thought maybe could have been added upon to make it even cooler.
That was the first magazine I picked up when I got into eBay, and I think it was the summer before my senior year, and it was the first one I got, and I kept hoping that the poster was going to be with it, and it wasn't.
Oh.
But part of the comic strip was, and then I had to rebuy it with the poster and got to see all the comic. But it was fine. I mean, all the comic strips I thought were fine. I didn't think any of them were. I mean, they are meant for kids, so there's not going to be a whole lot of things that you could see as an adult and like, wow, that was pretty cool. They did that. They're just simple, fun comic strips for young kids to. Because the heart was in the right place to have a magazine that's got, kids sending in fan mail. You've got beautiful poster and artwork by Earl Norm. You've got a comic strip, then you've got stories like that are just kind of written. I think in like in the She-Ra magazine too, where it's just a story with like a picture or two, but it goes for like 2 or 3 pages. And they did in the He-Man magazine too, where it's just a story that goes over like 2 or 3 pages. There's no pictures except maybe around the borders.
One of those She-Ra stories, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know how many were done, but I know Earl Norm did even some of the interior stories of that. Because, I mean, we didn't get those gigantic, like, Earl Norm style She-Ra posters. At least from back then, I don't remember him doing that.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, too, because, when he did some of the covers for the Golden Books, like, why did he do posters for She-Ra?
Yeah, because I don't know if it was the story of She-Ra. I forgot what they called the one that he did. Like you said, that Golden Book soft cover, but he had that beautiful piece. But
Sword of She-Ra.
Okay, thank you. There. All right. So we got that.
Yeah, but it's got Sorceress in the clouds holding her hand out.
Yes, that's beautiful.
Oh, man, I tell you, that is a... I mean, not just because of She-Ra, but the Sorceress being depicted as a cloud.
Yeah,
holding her hand out to She-Ra and looking up in the sky. You see Noel Johnson Stevenson, whatever the hell her name
Oh
is.
boy, here we go.
You know, if you're wanting to know what or how She-Ra did be depicted, you look at that children's book cover that you think you're so above. That is how She-Ra should be depicted. That's what you should be going for. Is, you know, that alone tells you what this character is about, how they should be portrayed, the maturity level there, how powerful and beautiful at the same time the character should be depicted. So
it's a hell of a beautiful piece, and like,
I'm hating more and more images of that godforsaken cartoon keep popping up where it's like, here's an image of Bo, here's an image of, I'm like, oh man, but luckily I see a lot of angry faces popping up too. So I'm just, you know.
And just to let you know, Earl also did, when I was telling you those interior story pages, he drew that art to make the story. So his lack of not having posters, at least you had beautiful pieces, which he did depict Bo as well. And it was just an amazing looking piece. Anything Earl did was fantastic. But also, Febmon, thank you for joining us in the chat room as well, just popped up. But no, that's what I mean. So these had cool stories, and that's what it all spawned from. It was like good posters, good stories, but I miss those days. I miss the days of having an amazing magazine that's not just, God, hold on, let me grab that. Not just about the covers, not just about the posters, but, I mean, inside they have, like, little games, like, stuff like this. They have, like, this section called Create a Vehicle.
I was hoping you were going to show that, because the vehicle that Cobra Khan is sitting in that issue.
Man,
I love that.
Yeah, because you've seen first the backpack that Mantenna's on, but then you see the rattle trap, the upscaler, but you see these cool things like, damn.
The rattle trap. When I got that magazine, I thought that would be an awesome vehicle.
And you were waiting for them. That's what I mean. I was waiting for all these vehicles, and then you could draw your own, but I never wanted to wreck my magazines. But I was like, oh my God, I was waiting for them. It's like, okay, I got Blaster Hawk. Oh my God, that backpack's going to be amazing. Oh, that rattle trap. And I thought some of these, I didn't know, I couldn't remember, and maybe Grimbot could confirm it, but I thought some of these maybe were possibly going to be made, but just didn't. I don't know. Maybe that's me just making up crap in my head. But damn it, it was cool. I like the upscaler. You remember how that was back in the day? There was the big suction cup craze that was going on with everything. Oh, if you could have had something with suction cups going like up a wall or even you sticking. That's what I mean. These were loaded. I was like, I miss that we can't get stuff like this anymore. From, find the weird picture games or it just.
Look at that one on the Meteorbs there, too.
Oh, yeah, and the Meteorbs, I like that, too. It's like, damn, at least we got some depiction of Meteorbs in some form. Cool, but it's just, you don't get this physical stuff no more. It has to be, online, but then it still doesn't have this character to physically hold something like this. And think in the day, $1.95 got you giant posters. You didn't have to pay $50 to $100 for posters. For $1.95, you got a cool-ass magazine. You got 1 or 2 posters in some cases. And you got all that extra content and just everything. It's like, I just wish something like this could come back. I don't know. To me, probably being nostalgic, but, man, I don't know about the people in the chat room or you, but I would just love for this to come back something.
I would, too, because I don't, I hate that some of the posters that are being sold right now, they're very expensive. I mean, to the point where I'm like, I for that price, I'm better off just buying original artwork from Axel and Kevin, and kind of come up with my own image. It's just, I hate that some of them cost so much. They're beautiful pieces of artwork. They really are. But, I mean, those right there, you can go on eBay and get some of those posters on their own for like, $30, $40, $50. It's because some of them are more hard to find, especially the last couple of issues. And I would much rather do that.
Yeah.
And just getting them complete. Like those last 2 issues, like the one with the really long fold-up poster of the Assault on Grayskull, where it's got He-Man, Real Blast, and Battle Cat.
I know.
Going to join the battle with Clamp Champ, Blade, Snout Spout, Ninjor. Yeah. Or the one where He-Man's riding a lion and Skeletor's commanding a herd of elephants in Africa.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, man. I still, to this day, I don't own either one of those issues of the magazine because they're hard to find. And when I do find them, they want a lot of money for them. And I don't know how or why that is because, I remember I thought I would never track down the first issue, which has got one of my absolute top 3 favorite posters, which is, He-Man, Buzz-Off, and Fisto versus Whiplash, Webstore, and Clawful. And I got it from Mile Hay Comics for like $20 complete with all the posters and the second issue with Hordak on the cover with the Horde poster that's behind me back here.
Yeah.
Well, actually, both of them are right there. Excuse me. But for some reason, I've often wondered, how do people know those last 2 issues of the magazine? What is it about those that makes them so much more expensive? I've never understood that.
And that's the thing I don't know. I mean, okay, when some things run their course with certain subscriptions, it makes you wonder if there was a limited print run. See, these are things I don't know. I don't have numbers on. But you wondered if, they started getting less and less subscriptions, so they started making less magazines, which, since now there's, a smaller amount to own, increases the price, especially ones that could be complete. Because like you said, half of those damn magazines, the posters were ripped right out.
Yeah.
So to find one that has that poster and the later runs, I guess that could make sense. There was just probably the subscription numbers maybe were just, starting to go down. And even remember, stores would order the magazines. If those weren't selling as much, they probably started ordering less amounts of magazines to go to Toys R Us, KB, or wherever else they got them to. Because you remember when Toys R Us would have those magazines, and it said Toys R Us right at the bottom barcode.
No, I don't know that because I.
Oh.
The magazine had pretty. I think it was pretty much done. Because I got into He-Man '87. The last run of the magazine was, I think, in early '88 or late '87, because they had issues, celebrating the movie coming out. There was like 2 issues devoted to the movie, and then you've got one because there was an issue with the Christmas paper, the Earl Norm Christmas wrap.
Yeah.
All, so that had to come out in Christmas '87.
Could you imagine somebody doing that? Oh God, I never would want to. But somebody taking the poster, wrapping, and then it gets ripped and destroyed. Like, whoa.
Yeah, as if like I couldn't imagine as a kid wanting to use that for Christmas, right? Even if I was old enough, at the time, I'm like I wouldn't want to wrap up a present, and it's beautiful Christmas artwork. Like I just, even though it's having Blade and Skeletor, and I think the Sorceress and I'm singing a Christmas Carol together. You get He-Man wrapping a present, Clamp Champ and Snout Spouter like riding on a snow sled with a bag of presents, but it's all Earl Norm paintings. Like, this is tremendous. It's wonderful. Why can't we get that reprinted or something like that?
Yeah. Or the parts where it was the greeting section that I always love to talk about. Those are like forgotten Earl Norm pieces to most people. There's of course one. Yeah. Like some they remember.
One of my favorite ones is like He-Man with like a Shaka Zulu like character, like an African tribal warrior. That just looks really cool.
Yeah, that one was cool. The one where it was like it looked like in Preternia. That one was another great one. The one that seems like everybody knows is that iconic one of movie He-Man and Gwildor. It's like that's the one everybody shows, but it's like there was more than that. And I wish, God, I don't know if those could be unearthed. I don't know if there's clean versions of those without all the text around it. Because, man, like you said, each one of those would just be a great poster piece to frame if they exist.
All that stuff. I mean, I know they've done like the Earl Norm sets for like PowerCon and stuff like that. And maybe those have got a lot of them. But I know they're all prints that like they're not like a large like poster that like what came in the magazines.
Yeah,
maybe if someone has got the Earl Norm sets, let us know.
Yeah, I'd like to hear somebody say it in the chat room because I thought the majority of those were the main poster ones, but I don't know if any of them were those greetings from Eternia part. Which
I think most of them were probably the posters, not like a lot of the interior artwork. I mean, one of the later issues too has got He-Man on Bionatops, and you got Turbodactyl and Tyrannosaurus Rex, but there's no poster of that. It's just an original painting he did. And the poster, I'm trying to think, it's a separate poster. It's like a completely different poster in that magazine, too. And I cannot remember what the poster was, though. But I always thought that was such an awesome-looking cover with He-Man and the dinosaurs, but it's not the actual interior poster, though.
Well, yeah, because I know one of them where he's writing, like, on Bionatops and he has a sword. It's just He-Man doing that. I know that one was another greetings one.
Yeah. But there's a separate, like, it was just a cover of the magazine with He-Man and the 3 dinosaurs. Because a lot of times.
Yeah. Okay, that's what issue was that? I even thought that if what you're talking about wasn't that even on the cover as well of that one magazine? Oh
no, well,
if I'm thinking of the right one, if I'm thinking what you're thinking, I thought there was one that did have. Jesus. Now I went blank. But I thought there was one issue that had all the dinosaurs and He-Man, and it was on the cover.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's on the cover, but it was not the inside poster.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Yeah, I'm sorry. I
Yeah.
didn't hear it. You are correct, and I don't know why that didn't happen. No, you're right. I'm sorry. I kind of misheard what you said. But that was a confusing one, that they finally had a beautiful cover piece that wasn't a poster, because usually everyone you've seen that was on the cover, I thought was a poster.
For the most part, I mean, aside from like the Horde issue, which that beautiful painting of Horde looking at that crystal,
yeah,
that should have been a poster too, but it wasn't.
All these damn things that, man, the ones we would love to see without text and logos. You're right. That damn crystal piece, or that crystal.
That one, and I was trying to think of it, because most of the magazines we got, like there was a poster of He-Man on the Lion. There's a poster of the of He-Man and Rio Blast trying to save Castle Grayskull. So yeah, the two movie issues had just pictures from the movie on the cover.
But they had which one? Which one was the one that inside? Oh no, that was actually the same cover. The one that, while I think is a beautiful piece, I always thought, what is the, remember? I think it was issue 14, the space one. And
yeah, that's a cover too, man.
Yeah, it was.
That is really, really cool.
Yeah, cool cover. Just like.
It's out there, no pun intended, but you know what? As great as it looks, I remember when I made that my cover photo on Facebook one time, and my cousin contacted me because he's older than me, so he was a lot older when all the stuff was out. It was like, dude, I love how you just post all these like cool images of He-Man. Like, I don't know where you get them, but it was just so cool that even to him, he's just like, I don't know where that come from, but that is really cool looking.
It is, and like the one you were talking about, the one that had Turbodactyl and Tyrannosaurus Rex and Bionatops, that was the one that had the cool poster of something that I was like, are we getting these? The ones that had the scuba attack and had the cliff climber and tower tools. That was the interior.
Oh, yes, I've got that one over here. Yeah.
Oh, right back. You know why I couldn't see it? That's where your head is all the time.
Oh yeah. Over here, I've got the use of. I love those accessories too: scuba attack, cliff climber, and tower tools. I thought they were so cool looking. So that, and plus Webster coming out of the moat, it's just such a cool touch. And and Skeletor using the cliff climber to drill into Grayskull, like that's just so cool, man.
Yeah, but it also sucks that we've seen him in that poster, we've seen him in a Star Marvel issue, and I thought maybe in one other thing, but yep, we never got him here in the U.S. And then
it's a shame they were just not depicted that much in general, and it's unfortunate because I hate that we didn't get that stuff over here. I do own 2 of those Mitten blocks.
Damn it, that's so bizarre. Why is it that the 2 covers of those magazines that both had the dinosaurs, like you said, and the other one that had Skeletor and Tyrannosaurus Rex and He-Man and Bionatops, and the one that was the one that had the Christmas wrapping poster. So why weren't either of those posters? They look so damn intense.
I have no idea. And when I was on my hunt for those magazines, that was really disappointing. Because I
thought those would be the posters,
yeah, because that was because this was the early days. I'm still trying to learn everything, and I just assume every magazine has got whatever's on the cover is on the inside. Because on that first issue, you've got the solo picture of He-Man holding the Power Sword up, which is on the cover. You've got the schematics of the Dragon Walker, and then you've got the big fight poster behind me here. So. You just naturally were going to think that, and then there's one of the Christmas float or the Thanksgiving Day float.
Yeah, it's interesting. Not super intense, but yeah, I know the one you're talking about. Yeah,
which is kind of lame looking, but it's to me that's one of the crown jewels of the He-Man collection of memorabilia are those magazines because of Earl Norm's posters.
Yep.
Above everything else, the magazines are fun. They're a fun little time capsule thing to see they're got articles about what movies are coming out, around that time of year and stuff like that too. But those posters, I think you could show that to anybody, even if they don't know anything about He-Man or vaguely remember it. You can't tell me that a poster of He-Man and Skeletor fighting in outer space in an asteroid field doesn't look like a serious ass kicker.
He made everything look amazing.
Everything look cool.
Yeah. Everything. It's just sad we probably will never see anything like that again. It's a shame.
Well, I mean it's a shame that I know we've got guys out there who are very, very talented who could make pieces of artwork like that. They just need to be told this is what we want from you guys. We want you guys to do an homage to some of Earl Gnome's work. Use your style and recreate the asteroid field battle, or use your style and recreate Monstroid coming out of the ocean for the book cover. You know, I think that's one of the most epic, underrated, underappreciated posters that Earl Gnome did, was that book cover of Monstroid rising out of the ocean, and Rio Blast, Snoutspot, Extendar, and He-Man with his battle axe, all fighting him in the ocean. You could hear the sounds of the waves crashing on the rocks as they're all getting ready to duke it out with Monstroid. Oh, it's so cool, man.
Yeah, because
don't know what I'm talking about. Google it right now.
No, because again, that's another piece that I always loved, and I said it was intense, but I always picked. Just to be fun, I was like,
I know what you're gonna say.
Yeah, you know what? It's coming. Yep, Snout Spout. I was like, here he comes on. Well, hey, the jet sled again. It's like not just flying. He's using it as like, kind of a surfing thing, but he's shooting water at Monstroid, who's just immersed out of this water. Like, that's not going to do nothing.
Shut up, Joe.
But it does look cool as hell. So it was our point, is all these pieces just look fantastic, and it's something lost in just, it seems like, modern pop culture anyways, almost for all properties. You just really don't see this love. Everything used to be painted. They love doing paintings of almost anything you can think of, even the old VHS box, covers that we always talked about. No matter what movie, it was a painting. And damn, it looked epic. The movie might have sucked, but wow, look at that piece. But yeah, so here's hope. You never know. Maybe someday something could happen. A magazine could return, and maybe it could help, just, I don't know, ignite a little fire or something.
If they were, I think a fun magazine subscription for adult fans.
Sure.
I think that would be fun, permitting that we get like original artwork in every magazine by either Kevin or Axel or Rudy or Errol McCarthy, something like that motivates you to want to get a subscription for the magazine, where, you and I could do like an editorial blog about, what really sucks about King Grayskull, and I could do like a monthly, rant about why the character sucks. It'd be great. And then you could do like a customizing corner or something like that. And it would be great, and
because the other lost pieces, which kind of brought up the kind of discussion to another extent, were the letters to He-Man. I love seeing, because the kids would write in a letter, and it was like, because they believed it. They're like, "Hi, He-Man." They actually thought they're writing into He-Man. Yeah. I'm 8 years old. I love you. I love Oracle Battlecat. And I hope you beat up Skeletor. And I never wrote a letter in back then, but some of them would do a drawing of their favorite character, or they would just draw like, here's my own character. They would show somebody unique and that kind of stuff. It's like, damn, just fun times. I never had nothing that I sent in, but
I did enjoy reading those when I got them as an adult. I'm like, it was just fun to look back and see what kids were writing to the magazine, and the color, the crayon illustrations they would do and stuff like that. So it's a fun time capsule to go and just look at what, the Earth report that they had, Orko's Earth report and stuff like that. The letters to him, the greetings, the posters. What was coming soon. There's updates for the movie in the magazine, like in that one you got there. I think it's the announcement of Dolph Lundgren is going to be playing He-Man.
Yeah.
So like back then for kids, when you're being told like this is how you get news about a new movie, Ivan Drago has been cast to play, He-Man. I'm sure Joe went outside and started setting things on fire.
I wasn't. I told you, I was not happy when I heard that. I was like, that's Drago. That's the guy that killed Apollo. I said, I hate that guy. I was like, why is he He-Man? That really it left a bad taste in my mouth. Maybe it was another reason I just really didn't enjoy that movie back then. I've grown to like it now, appreciate it now. It's a great movie, but back then, oh boy, I have so many issues with that damn Dolph Lundgren Drago. I was like, Drago, the guy that killed Apollo. He can't be He-Man. Pissed me off. But
let me grab some more water quick, Joe. I'll be right back.
Okay, while you're doing that, I'm gonna address some of the fans of things they sent in to be mentioned. But I'll go ahead.
Okay, all right, I'll be right back. Hang on.
Okay. Well, earlier there was one fan who I addressed. His name's Patrick O'Keefe, and I told him I was going to give him a shout out on the podcast because he sent one message. He said he was born in 1979 and was a fan since the start of the franchise. And he started collecting Masters of the Universe only about a year ago, and it's really been a source of joy in his life. He said he just wanted to say that we do a great job. He's glad he found the podcast. Just keep doing what you're doing. And I told him I was going to give him a shout out and thank him for that. Along with, he posted a picture. If you go to the Fans of Power Facebook page, he did a carving of a cool of Skeletor into a pumpkin. But it didn't look like the typical carving that sometimes when people carve out a pumpkin and pop out the holes and the lights to light it up. He did like a different way of carving into the pumpkin so it's not protruding and popping through. That's one thing. Hey, I mean, I do customs, but I've always said it's like some things like this. I've never been good at carving a pumpkin. I did the typical thing as a kid of making the triangle eyes, the upside down triangle nose, and the jagged mouth. That's the limit to my skills when it comes to doing anything for carving a jack-o'-lantern was that. But I did want to give him a shout out on that. Also, there was somebody who asked our opinions on the pop culture statues and the sideshow statues that they have, and our thoughts on the upcoming Mondo. And I'll give some of my thoughts along with waiting for when Tyler comes back. But those statues, as beautiful as they are. Oh wait, Tyler's coming back. So
sorry, I burned through that one bottle a lot fast. God, I can't speak. Sorry, I burned through that last bottle a lot faster than I thought I would.
Oh, that's no problem. I was just letting everybody know about Patrick O'Keefe, one of the fans who left us a message on the Fans of Power Facebook page and also showed a cool carving of a jack-o'-lantern. He did Skeletor, but like I said, it wasn't popping through to where it lights up. Just a cool carving, so I want to give him a shout-out. But I also wanted to say that from Martin Spice. Martin Spice is the one that had a question for us about the pop culture statues and the sideshow statues. He wanted to know our thoughts of that and the upcoming Mondo 1/6, Mondo figures, the big
Haven't
stuff.
we asked about that before though?
Well, it's weird. I think somebody did ask about those figures. I just can't remember the statues. It feels like it's been so long, but I still would like to at least acknowledge it. The question.
Oh, of course, yeah.
But the statues, they're all absolutely beautiful. I mean, they're just way out of my price range. But for those who do have the money for those, I mean, hell, yeah, they're well worth it. They're just what are they, $300, $400, $500?
Oh.
I mean, beautiful pieces, but just a lot. And the Mondo figures that I think they were finally starting to take pre-orders for, and I think they sold out on an exclusive one. But I think those are going to be 150, 160, but they're like 12-inch figures, I believe. I don't know if they're 12-inch or bigger, but they look great. I just can't afford them. I don't know if you can afford those and if you're getting them, but those.
No, I mean, I if they were doing like a payment plan or something like that, maybe. But of course, right now with Christmas coming up, I stress about the cash. Like I'm like I want to be able to get the Super 7 Filmation group of 4 figures. I'm like, I got to worry about that and Christmas presents and all this other stuff. And I'm like, I was looking at them a while back. I'm like, maybe if I traded myself to one, but I just like, who am I kidding? I'm like, I'm not gonna be able to get around to affording those things. It's
didn't they also do those amazing Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle figures too? I believe didn't
Mondo does everything. It's always great, and it's always expensive as hell. Like it's just you can't catch a break. If Mondo's name is attached to it, you're gonna get quality, but you're also gonna get a big $ right next to it.
Yeah, you gotta have some good money. Again, pieces that are worth it if you have the money, but. Yeah, I just don't have it. But there, I wanted to cover that. And yeah, I guess we have one more topic before we'll get to any fan questions, but did want to talk about Dark Dream. I was like, the poor guy got left in the dust, but I'm thinking, okay, we're getting around the time of Halloween. We've already talked about Shikoti before. We talked about Shigora. We've covered things that have been, I think, said a lot about Masters Universe of main horror characters, but we never really talked about Dark Dream, a character that, what did we have, one episode for him? Was that it? Just
one episode, and that's it.
And that's it. And it was cool to see a Nightmare character, especially when you're somebody that might have been loving the Nightmare on Elm Street movies back in the day, and to see somebody that could like go into your dreams, but you wondered what else could he do if he did have all the power of eternal darkness. What else could this character have done? How more badass could he have been or intense? Because he unfortunately, it's a character design that sometimes it's like it sucks by default, meaning not that he's a stupid looking character, but when you have those robed characters, he's got this robe, he's got this opening black, and you got the eyes, and then when he's moving, it's just like animated like a guy in a sheet. You don't feel too intimidated. His powers are frightening, especially when you just point and say sleep, and bam, just knock you to sleep or put you into a nightmare. That is frightening. But I wondered if he was ever upgraded and they expanded upon him more, what could they do to make him look more intense? Because it was a good concept. I liked the thought of Dark Dream. It just, he didn't have a lot of time to shine, unfortunately.
No, and I mean, it's an excellent concept, an A+ for concept. And I like his look. I I mean, obviously, I think it could be tweaked just a little bit. But for the most part, I like the fact that he's almost like a shadow inside this robe, and all you see are his eyes, and that the shadow that's moving inside his robe is moving his hands and everything. I think he should have been more. I mean, granted, they tried to write all the villains or kind of after a common thing, Grayskull or something very similar to that. But I think it would have been better, And it's a good episode. It doesn't end as good as you think it would or should or could. I think his focus should have been strictly if he broke out. If he terrorizes people in the dreams, he drives them mad or scares them all to death, that they're afraid to go to sleep because of what kind of nightmares they may have. Naturally weakens your heroes because they can't sleep or they're running on lack of very, very little sleep. Kind of like with Freddy Krueger.
Yeah.
And I think that's what his main focus should be, is that he enjoys terrorizing and tormenting people in their dreams. The safest place, you feel like, is when you're sleeping. And if you can't go to sleep, then therefore, I think that takes it even on He-Man. So I think that should have been his main focus, was just tormenting the heroes of Eternia and coming back to full strength. And trying to take over Grayskull shouldn't have been not even a thought to him, like that kind of thing, because he doesn't. A character that can haunt your nightmares doesn't need the ultimate power. Like that power itself is so strong.
And picture the self-doubt it does, because you've seen it within Prince Adam's dream, which also Cringer had the same one as well, where he couldn't find the sword, he couldn't turn into He-Man to save the day. That's got to be something that's always on Prince Adam's mind. Of what if he can't save the day? And picture if they did expand upon always causing these nightmares to now create, when they wake up, they have self-doubt about what they can do, depending on what Dark Dream will pick into their brain. Then you're right. What if they don't want to go to sleep? What if they're trying to stay awake? And within that, they're getting lackadaisical. They're tired. They can't do nothing, which makes you lose in battle. It's like just by him destroying your your mind from sleeping to staying awake, he's gonna beat you. So yeah, it's something I think it could have worked. And I guess like with his design, I think the thing that I would have changed the most would have been the pointing with the robe. I think if he could have had a sleeve and you would have seen this nasty, gangly arm and hands, it could have maybe seemed like he looked more frightening, because the pointing with the robe is the only thing that took me out of the moment. It just didn't look too intimidating or imposing. I think just something to show a nasty arm and hand could have made him look a little more frightening, at least for me. Maybe something tweaked like that.
I'd say I would keep the fact that he's like a shadow inside the robe, because
what about a shadowed arm or something? Since he's like a living shadow, maybe even something to.
No, I kind of feel like keeping him shrouded in constant mystery. Like he is. I mean, honestly, I would keep him as almost like a shadow, almost like he is. He is a demon, of course, but I like keeping him shrouded and cloaked, and all you see is that there's something inside this robe, but it's like pure darkness. Like, kind of like how Mask was only, running on the power of the mask. Like, you destroy the mask, he's gone. Like, he's just pure evil through the mask. Much like how Dark Dream is just pure black, dark evil inside this robe, like taking on a somewhat physical form. And I think to actually show hands would take away a bit of his mystery, because he's using the robe to simulate movement.
It just something just got lost with the point. It reminded me of when I was a kid and I used to put a sheet on and act like I'm a ghost and do pointing, and it took me out of the intimidating factor or the frightening factor. I mean, like you said, maybe okay if they didn't show the actual arm or hand, but
I will. All right, to go on or to piggyback on what you just said, I think depicting him trying to walk needs to go. He needs to float.
Like when he's running to the Wind Raider or something.
Yeah, that does not work. For a character like that, I think he just needs to hover and float.
Right, like Orko and Shadow Weaver. I think since he's a shadowed creature, maybe a floating looks more intimidating, but when he's doing the Scooby-Doo run, it's like, that's what I guess I didn't like those parts. Didn't like the running. I didn't like the points. Like I said, if there could have been a redesign of an arms somehow, but still be shrouded in the robe, but more of less of the pointing. Because they had a good idea and a concept there.
Mm-hmm.
So, like we said, especially if his powers were more of destroying your mental, your ability to think, and then being in combat when you're not sleeping, you're exhausted, he could have really took over Eternia. It would have been a cool character to see somehow redesigned or expanded upon more, especially since there's not many things that when you think of Halloween, you want to think of certain characters. What can we think of from the Masters Universe world? I mean, a lot of characters would be scary, but not many of them get you that feeling. He's one that slightly does, but I wish could have been more.
Yeah, I mean, and sometimes I think the Filmation designs, most of them for the most part are quite good. I think Dark Dreams is a very good design. I think he worked his best in the episode when he's sitting in his throne and he kind of working his evil powers from the throne in his lair, creating nightmares for the royal family and Tila and Men at Arms just by sitting in his throne. Like he's been unleashed, of course, and I think it's kind of hinted at probably through Evelyn and Tamar. Tamar. I can never remember the exact pronunciation.
Don't worry, Bob will join up here, I'm sure, and say in a second the correct.
It's Tamar or Tabor. It's one of those two. But obviously, those two contributed into unleashing him, which kind of makes you wonder where he was locked up. But in his lair, I find him quite imposing. That this is a character that does not have to go anywhere. That this is a guy that can, as long as he's out, I'd say if it's nighttime, that's when he works at his strongest. And obviously during the day, people are not sleeping, maybe not as much. But if you really want to push the fact that this guy, his power is over your dreams, then if you're asleep, then that's all this guy really needs, and kind of feeding off of your displeasures and your fear and the stress that you're exonerating through your nightmares. He gets stronger from that. And if it's darkness, I like the idea that he feeds off darkness as well, because it would make sense to a certain degree. But I like the idea that this guy, kind of like Freddy Krueger, doesn't matter if it's night or day. If you're asleep, it's time to go into survival mode. So I would much rather see that, actually. Because
I'm sure maybe you even got the other thing. Like I got the vibe like the Nerbs kind of look like Dark Dream, but smaller.
Yeah. They do. And Alan Oppenheimer voices Negator, who's a controller of the Nerbs, and he also voices Dark Dream. And he does a very good job of Dark Dream too. Like he sounded like he really relished the idea of playing that character.
And I'm trying to remember again. I don't have the eidetic memory you do, but didn't the Nerbs at least show some? Did they show arms or hands? I kept feeling like they weren't.
They did. They've got feet, and I believe they've got hands too. Because when they would turn and put their faces together, they would clench their fists up, and kind of connect their eye beams together, and then Nerbs, power me.
Yeah. Because I guess that's what I envision. I keep thinking, what the hell would Dark Dream look like as a figure? I mean, is he just going to be a static pose like this with the robe? Would they have to have a robe part with pointed fingers? That's why I always think, what the hell could it look like in figure form? But
I could see it. But I would pretty much to say that the arms would be kind of pointed, like the robe just kind of dangling, kind of pointing almost. And the body would be a solid robe piece. And then it would be sculpted with, the hood and just solid black, kind of like how Shadow Weavers. Yeah,
it's some kind of little eyes. Yeah, that would be cool.
It would have to be a brand new buck because you're talking about a floating robe. So
that's just Jesus. Yeah, that's exactly. I did want to bring up something Grimbot said about one of the Ehapa comics. I don't even know if I said that right, but he said there was a story where Skeletor terrorizes Prince Adam in his dreams. He said so much to the point where Adam has to go to bed transformed as He-Man. That's actually hilarious. I wish I could read that story. If you got,
I thought he was going to correct me about King Hiss turning trees into snakes or something like that.
No, he just brought that up. And damn it, if you have links to that, man, be sure to let us know. I'd love to see that because it actually sounds hilarious. But yeah, I would. Again, Dark Dream is a character that if they were ever to remake him, if they did another cartoon, I'd just love to see just some little slight changes, but maybe make him more than just a one-shot character, because somebody having that kind of powers and abilities, that's you'd think pretty damn imposing.
I think that's not a throwaway character. It's a character, plus having ties to Evil Lyn, which was fun to almost, you kind of get the idea that, Evelyn's wand and probably
Yeah,
some
he
of her
threatened to throw
powers.
that back to where it came from or something.
Yeah.
Is that what he said? Yeah.
Yeah. I kind of take that as that she has close connections to Dark Dream, as if like, not maybe she learned everything she knows from him, but she definitely worked with him for quite a while. He probably saw her potential, and obviously she took off on her own and then fell for Skeletor. So, just like she does all the time, he gets pissed off or at least, but this time she was summoned by Dark Dream, which obviously shows she does have an allegiance with him, and obviously showed up at his beck and call. But he'd been locked away for such a long time. But she honored that command, so it does show that he clearly must have been somebody who had a lot to do with her teachings of becoming a master of black sorcery, black magic, and
especially with nowadays with all the continuity that you get in a lot of stories, then I'm sure we could find, you could get something like that, which back then you didn't. They were pretty much, everything was a one-shot story, whether it was from the comics or the cartoon. It was just bam, new story each week, bam. Sometimes you had a new character, but you'd never see them again. But now with continuity that they love doing so much, it'd be nice to see some of those.
But sometimes, continuity is just like, this story doesn't need to go on for 2 years,
Oh, not that. Yeah,
there's pros and cons to all of this, because I do feel like some stories could be expanded upon, like Problem with Power is a prime example.
Yeah, but like you said, a couple episodes, like House of Shikoti. We got House of Shikoti 1 and 2, but you're right, nowadays with not only some cartoons where it just constantly would want to be continuity, or even a comic. Here's a 1.5 year run of the same story that you have to keep latching onto. It's like, do little story arcs, sprinkle them in there, but still give us the one thing of, okay, in this episode, there's this crazy artifact that Skeletor found to do this, and how are we going to stop him? But the continuity of meaning in, let's say, 30 episodes later, we could have acknowledgments of things knowing this happened in the past. Not just written off, but like you said, not to where we have to watch 30 episodes to get to that point, but we'd understand they made an acknowledgement of something that happened. Like, okay, they're understanding the continuity as well, that something happened.
Yeah. I mean, like if we were doing like a new canon of He-Man, like animation or something like that, and, Evelyn's discuss, like one of the evil warriors is kind of new to the group. Like, let's say Stinkor just came on the group and he's asking Evelyn, did Skeletor train you, in the ways of black magic? She goes, absolutely not. I learned my powers from Dark Dream. That's where I got this wand. I only joined up with Skeletor after Dark Dream was banished, and Skeletor promised me a lot of things, and here I am. And and you would not see Dark Dream probably for a while, and you kind of build up this idea who Dark Dream. This is the guy that teaches Evelyn, or taught her everything she knows, and not. I mean, you could also do like the whole thing with the faceless one too, but I think that would be fun to have continuity weaved in there, but it's not something that goes over 30 episodes of building.
Right.
That gets monotonous.
Some's good, but too much is just, too much.
Yeah, that's why I miss comic books being one shots. Like most stories are, yes, there is continuity of like the world that Peter Parker's going through, or what Logan is going through,
but not a constant connection.
Yeah, like they're constantly keeping the world alive of characters like that were going on, but the story itself, like Spider-Man taking on Electro, in this, it's a one issue. This one issue begins and ends with Spider-Man taking on Electro, but there's hints of what happened in the issue before, and then when you see the next issue, there's nods and throwbacks to what happened in the fight with Electro. But still, it's a contained story.
Yeah, that's what I miss. I mean, you're right. It's like when you go to a movie, bam, you have a movie, that's it, and then here could come a sequel eventually. But the same thing with comics and cartoons. I like just having a good finality. You'd have the beginning, the middle, the end. There you go. You're not strung along for 50, 60, however many episodes or how many issues, into where it's just like, okay, is this ever going to build up and be done? You just want it finished stuff. But like you said, acknowledging stuff. But I don't mind 3 story, like a 3-part story arc. Sometimes they go maximum 6, but it's like, just give us some one shots. But this, Dark Dream, a character I would love to see back.
Absolutely.
Someday, especially if, you never know if there's ever a rebirth. But before I pass it to Tyler to give any shout outs or anything he's going to say or recommendations, this is where in the chat room, if you guys in the chat room have any questions for us, you want us to answer, like I said, it can be from comics, cartoons, movies, mini comics, anything. Anything you want to ask, shoot at us. We'll do that right now. But I'm going to pass it to you, Tyler, if you have any recommendations, things you want to say.
Let's see. I will say, like always, check out Kevin Sharp's artwork. You want some beautiful He-Man or Thundercat artwork or a Marvel DC superheroes, hit him up on Facebook. Super, super humble guy. Does incredible artwork. Check out Axel Jimenez's artwork. Joe Amado's Customs. Trying to get Joe to do a snow meow for Snowmen of Hook Mountain from Thundercats. So someone put in a request for that already. Check out He-Man.org and John Atkins's site, He-Man World. And I'd say check out Eternal Darkness, the episode with Darkjin. If you have not watched it or watched it in a long time, I love the mood set in that episode. Like most of the music in the first half of the episode is all the pieces of music that Shuki Levy did that are very like constant foreboding evil music. Like it's music you've heard in all the episodes, but played right, it really amps up the seriousness of the Dark Dream character. Like all the music that plays is all, it's not some of the lighthearted pieces of music. It's all mood setting music, really playing up the nightmare aspect of He-Man. It's done very well. So that's my another recommendation too.
Okay. And anything else, or that would be that?
That would be that.
Okay. I don't even know if I spoke proper English here. I usually don't. If people hear me talk, that'd be that. There was one saying I used to say all the time that somebody would, oh God, I wish I could remember. Maybe it'll come to me later. There's something I always would say, and they're like, oh, that's it. It was when I used to work at Software Etc. years ago. And before I started working, I remember I came in and I would look for certain games. And I was like, I wondered, wait, how did I say that? Oh, no. They asked me. They asked me if they were a game came in. I was like, well, I don't know if we do got that or not. And I always would say do got, and everybody's like, no, it's do have. And my family still likes to give me trouble for that when I say do got.
That's just kind of just speaking quickly. I mean, the English language has been butchered and botched for years. I mean, someone wants to come along and just kind of poke and prod at you. I mean, I do like proper grammar, but I do, say things improperly a lot as well. Yeah. And I'm like, you know what? I know what people are trying to say. And, sometimes for fun, I'll correct it. But for the most part, I'm like, I'm not going to go and just beg your pardons. I do believe you mean,
Yeah, do have. Because I was like, yeah, we do got that. But, yeah, and I still do it. But, okay. Well, I'm going to get to some of the questions. First, Zentron. Zentron says, which of the heroic warriors do you think could be turned to evil and join Skeletor? And what do you think would turn them? Well, go ahead, Tyler. We can't do a simple reprogramming of Roboto either. Like Roboto
no, that's lazy. No.
How about a twist? How about making somebody like Cyclone, somebody you wouldn't expect because Skeletor has
no. Cyclone's my favorite heroic warrior.
And that's why I'm going to do it. Cyclone is somebody that, you wouldn't expect, but he would do the heel turn. Bam, he'd join him. Skeletor has no flying warriors. He promised them all the powers and riches and the respect that he deserves because he keeps getting shunned to the side by He-Man. So I'm going to say Cyclone. And Cyclone can constantly be using his radar to let Skeletor know where all the heroic warriors are throughout Eternia. Warriors. I'm talking like the warrior. But yeah, so how about that? Cyclone does a heel turn, and Skeletor finally has a flying character.
I'm gonna say Snout Spout.
And why would Snout Spout join?
Well, if people want to continue to give Snout Spout a lot of grief,
no respect, yeah.
No respect. Skeletor sees this and exploits that weakness and decides, you know what? You don't have to feel like that, Snout Spout. I could use a man of your talents to destroy stuff with your extremely, fire hose powered nose. Your skills with an axe. You could break into stuff. I mean, Skeletor could just exploit the hell out of that insecurity.
That's one of my favorite
and turn Snout Spout into an evil warrior. Yep.
Well, I think we both did that to each other. We took one of our favorite characters and turned them heel, damn it. So, okay, I like that. And thanks for the question there, Zentron. JSP said, he got to meet Melindy Britt at Alamo City Comic Con yesterday.
Fantastic.
Yep. And he said, but I had to choose between getting an autograph from Alan Oppenheimer or getting a photo from Flash Gordon himself, Sam J. Jones. He said, which would you choose? Well, I mean, I don't have a real connection to Flash Gordon. Not saying it's a bad show because I know people absolutely loved it, but I would go Alan Oppenheimer. I don't know about Tyler after experiences he had. He might have a quite different answer. What would you do?
The choice is between the actor playing Flash Gordon or Alan Oppenheimer.
Yeah,
Oppenheimer, because I
okay.
don't have any attachment to Flash Gordon. I have nothing. There's nothing wrong with the movie or the character and
Oh,
like
okay.
that. But
Didn't know if
I would try my luck again, and maybe this time he would say, sure, kid, I'd be more than happy to write that for you.
Right, you'd get a little respect. All
like
right.
I'm sitting there wearing like one of those little beanie hats with the propeller on, and I got braces on, and golly, mister, I thought you were great at Skeletor, and
Kind of, what was that like?
I paint
Jim
like
Carrey?
freckles on my face or something. What's that?
I thought you were, like when Jim Carrey, was acting like the kid.
Yeah. That's kind of what I was like. I thought you were really good as Man at Arms, and
that's exactly.
Was that real? I do like the Chris Farley on the Chris Farley show. I kind of like do this with my hands, and you remember that one episode where you were Skeletor?
Like, cool. Boy, we got one of these. Yeah, there you go. All right. Well, thanks for that, JSP. Adam Gabbard said, Joe and Tyler, what are your thoughts between the comparisons of Hordak for vintage and classics for the toys? Well, I mean, the classics one obviously is a cool upgrade. When it comes to like some of the other variants, I didn't know if you mean like Buzzsaw, flying the Buzzsaw out of the Hurricane, which is cool. I have more of a connection with the vintage toys.
I do too.
So I mean, as amazing as classics is and more articulation, great. But I'd go vintage. It's a good thing he didn't say anything about putting the stactions or the MYP design, because then I'd say, I think I'm gonna pick MYP because it was a badass design in the cartoon and one hell of a cool looking staction. But yeah, well, I guess we both chose it. We both went vintage. So thank you for that, Adam. And Kevin Chart said, thank you guys. As always, appreciate the shout outs and fun talk. Yeah, it's no problem, Kevin.
Thanks for joining us, Kevin. And Kevin, I sent you a small payment for another illustration there, bud. So look for that.
Oh, okay. So you guys always got the little connections. I'm trying to see if there's anything else. Eric can ask about the new show action. That might be everybody. I'm trying to go quickly scrolling down. I apologize because they started talking about the whole Flash Gordon back and forth things too. So, okay. Well, there we got some of the questions in. So we appreciate you being here. But let me say what I always say is I love having you guys here. It's always great when you join us. It's this interaction and fun. It makes Sundays special. I really love when we do this. I mean, of course, Beyond Retro, love doing that, and I love doing Fans of Power. And you guys just make the show that much more enjoyable. And for anybody new to this channel, if you haven't already, please like, subscribe, share, and ring that bell down there so you can always get notified of any new content we have popping up. So you can always be here and joining us more because we want to always have you here. And Kevin Sharp said, thanks, T-Rex. So
awesome.
I did want to pop in real quick and say that during the recording of this show, we already got 2 new subscribers. So thanks to you guys for continually supporting, and even during the live shows, doing what Joe and I always push for during the other podcasts, just making sure you hit subscribe and everything. So thanks a lot, guys.
Yeah. And thanks for popping up, Nathan, to let us know about that. It's pretty cool to know some new people have already subscribed. But it's like I said, that's why we always say it about ringing the bell. It's because then you can always be notified in case they weren't. They get a little message or an email about it. So,
because sometimes we have to change times. Like some things come up and we have to go an hour earlier or on a different day, or it's best if you want to make sure you don't miss an episode. So just subscribe, because sometimes we do have to change the day or time that we do the podcast. So and that doesn't happen much, but it does. It's happened on occasion where sometimes we did do a day early, and it doesn't matter if I would post anything like on Facebook or you. Sometimes people were there the next day, like, what the heck happened? Where was the podcast? So that's the main reason we do it. But okay, well, again, thanks, guys, and have a powerful day. Life's a bitch, and she's in heat.
Is that Roddy Piper? No. I was going to say I thought it was Roddy Piper and from They Live, but I don't think he said that. Damn it, I don't know. I'm going to have to... Damn it, I don't know. I'm going to have to wait now. I really thought that sounded like a Piper line. Was it from They Live? Was it Roddy Piper?
Nathan?
Damn it.
Joe, sir, you are correct this week.
I am? Well, shit in the pond. I got something. my god! All right.
I like how he acts surprised. I think he's gotten the quotes like a good 3-4 weeks in a row now.
Yeah, but he still questions himself. Like, that's something Roddy Piper would say, but I don't think so.
I hate that when I doubt myself. I was right. I was like, I hope I'm not doubting. Oh,
that's why I was like, Nathan.
Yeah, Tyler was like, I wouldn't even respond, but I got one. Oh,
Judges? Yeah, he got it. Thumbs up.
Yeah. You imagine I'm on the game show, I answer it, but I'm questioning, like, well, we can't get to the points if you're not sure, but we'll see you guys next time.